Meta has just rolled out firmware update 21 for the Wearable Meta smart glasses, and this update feels like another step toward turning these from a cool experiment into something people actually use every day. I recently uploaded a real-world testing video where I pushed Meta AI in everyday situations. And honestly, that video still matters because this firmware update builds directly on that experience. Today, though, I want to focus specifically on what's new in version 21, what's actually been added, and which features are worth paying attention to depending on how you use these glasses. I haven't fully tested every single edition yet, so a proper hands-on follow-up is coming soon. But Meta has outlined the changes clearly enough that we can break them down right now. Quick pause before we dive in. If you've been enjoying these Wearable Meta videos or you're interested in smart glasses, wearable cameras, and real-world tech tests, hitting that subscribe button really helps the channel grow. It costs nothing. It tells YouTube you care about this content, and it makes sure you don't miss future updates and tests. Alright, let's get into firmware 21. One of the first additions is a basic find device feature, and it's important to set expectations correctly. This is not Apple's Find My, and it's not live GPS tracking built into the glasses. What it actually does is show the last location where your phone was connected to the glasses through the Meta AI app. So if you misplace them, you can see where that last connection happened and backtrack from there. It's simple, but in real life, that's often enough to help you remember whether you left them at home, in your car, or somewhere you stopped earlier in the day. A much more interesting update is the introduction of hyperlapse recording. This adds a completely new camera mode to the glasses and really leans into the hands-free nature of wearable tech with hyperlapse. You can capture long periods of movement, up to 30 minutes, and have them turned into a smooth, sped-up video. This is designed for things like walking through a city, commuting, exploring outdoor spaces, or even running or cycling. You activate it entirely with your voice by saying, "Hey Meta, start hyperlapse," which fits perfectly with the whole idea of smart glasses. What I'm most curious about here is how usable this actually feels in the real world. When you're walking around, your head is constantly moving, and that can either look cinematic or extremely disorienting, depending on how good the stabilization is. There's also the question of how hyperlapse exits back into normal recording, but based on how Meta describes it, it seems like you simply stop it with your voice and return to regular camera behavior. Eat that away. It is great to see Meta adding more creative camera options instead of leaving these glasses stuck with basic video modes. Firmware 21 also expands slow motion recording. The glasses already supported higher frame rates, but now there's a dedicated slow motion mode that you can activate hands-free by saying, "Hey Meta, start slow motion." Meta describes this as offering smoother playback with enhanced dramatic effect, which is a bit vague, so this is something I'll definitely be testing properly. What we do know is that slow motion clips can be recorded for up to 1 minute, and that this feature is limited to newer hardware. If you're using Wearable Meta Gen 2 or supported Oakley Meta models, you're good. If you're on Gen 1, this is another sign that advanced features are starting to move away from older devices. Another meaningful camera upgrade is adjustable video stabilization. The glasses have always applied stabilization automatically, but now you can control how aggressive it is. You can manually adjust the level or let the system decide for you with an auto-select option. This matters because digital stabilization usually crops into the image to smooth things out. More stabilization typically means smoother footage, but a tighter field of view. Less stabilization means a wider image with more natural movement. Being able to choose gives creators more flexibility, especially if you care about framing and image quality. Sharing videos to Instagram and Facebook stories has also been refined. Previously, you had to decide ahead of time that you wanted to post something and say so while recording. With this update, you can now share your most recent video after the fact by using a voice command like, "Hey Meta, share last video to Instagram." There is a limit. The video must be 15 seconds or shorter, and you can only reference the most recent clip. But it still makes spontaneous sharing much easier than before. On the fitness side, Meta is clearly pushing harder with something they call athlete intelligence. This feature connects with platforms like Garmin, Strava, Apple Health, and now Google Health Connect, which is new. With these integrations, Meta AI can provide workout insights and even automatically capture video clips based on workout milestones or stats. Those stats can then be added to your footage so you can share it directly to platforms like Strava, Instagram, or Facebook. This feature is being rolled out gradually, and it seems especially targeted at Oakley Meta glasses, but the direction Meta is heading is very clear. Related to that is voice-based workout creation for Garmin users. If you have a supported Garmin device, you can now create custom bike or run workouts just by talking to Meta AI. You can set distance, duration, and even target metrics like pace or heart rate. Personally, this isn't something I expect to use a lot, but for people who are already serious about training and live in the Garmin ecosystem, it could be genuinely useful. One of the more experimental features in this update is Spotify integration powered by Meta AI. The idea is that the glasses can recommend and play music based on what you're seeing. You can say something like, "Hey Meta, play a song to go with my view," and it pulls recommendations from This only works in English and only with Spotify for now. If you're using YouTube Music, you're way out of luck, but as a concept, it's one of the more futuristic things Meta is experimenting with. There's also expanded language support for music controls across Europe. You can now control music in languages like French, German, Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese, using apps like Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and Shazam. This is rolling out across a long list of countries,
including much of Europe, North America, and parts of Asia and the Middle East, with more expansion planned next year. The final major addition is voice shortcuts, but this feature is currently limited to Oakley Meta Vanguard glasses. Voice shortcuts allow you to trigger commands without saying "Hey Meta," which is especially useful during workouts. When paired with a Garmin device, these shortcuts can activate automatically when an activity starts, letting you control features quickly without breaking focus.
You can still enable or disable this through the Meta AI app or by voice. But for now, Ray-Ban Meta Gen 2 users don't get access to this feature. Overall, firmware 21 feels like Meta doubling down on 3 things: better camera tools, stronger hands-free control, and deeper fitness integration. For me as a content creator, the most exciting parts are hyperlapse, slow motion, and adjustable stabilization. I'm especially interested in seeing how these glasses handle movement-heavy situations like running, even though wayfarers aren't exactly designed for workouts. That kind of testing will really show how far Meta has pushed the hardware and software.